I'm so sick of driving. There's gas, insurance, all these stupid steps you have to go through just to drive the dang car. I'm sick of it. How about instead of driving my car, I can emulate the experience by driving at Emulation, the subject of the second page of the Necronomicon. I've done it, you've done it, all the cool kids do it, but what is emulation exactly? Imagine, you have a copy of Silent Hill 2 for the PS2, but your PS2 doesn't work. You can download PCSX2, back your disc up as a ROM, and boom! Your game just works on your PC and you can have the benefits of modern enhancements like a higher resolution, frame rates, and save states. But before we talk about how amazing emulation is, let me give you the backstory or some lore about emulation. The first known emulators were basically ports of standalone arcade games in the early 90s. That way you didn't have to spend your entire mortgage on Ghosts and Goblins trying to beat the first level. But as the decade went on, more and more emulators for relevant consoles became abundant online. I do think it became more mainstream with Bleem back in 1998, PlayStation and Dreamcast emulator. And it worked great at the time, so many games...
Oh, that's real nice.
Oh. Right. If we are going to talk about emulation, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's big companies really, really don't like it. Especially the red guy. One thing about emulation is it tends to dip into piracy, which is kind of a gray area. I personally believe if you can't give developers money for said product, and there's really no legal way of getting the game you want, then there really isn't an issue. There's no way to get the original Pokemon games today, and with the amount of scammers on eBay with counterfeit carts, and the absolutely eye-watering prices, I don't blame you for dipping your toes in the water. Be careful with the websites you visit, though, or they'll give you a
computer virus. I deleted the virus.
Some games are just genuinely lost to time. Like the point I made at the beginning of this video with Silent Hill 2, you can't buy that game anymore. Sure, there's a remake, and it's a pretty good remake, but the original will always be the original. It's a genuine masterpiece, extremely sought after, and
Holy shrimp!
A huge benefit to me personally are save states. Some people say save states are cheating. They say they aren't true to the artist's intention, or since you can upscale, it doesn't look how the artist intended. My response to people saying that it's cheating? Your mom. I beat the original Super Mario Bros. On an emulator because I enjoy my sanity more than playing the most re-released game in history on the original console. But about how the game doesn't look right. What is this? Get this out of here. I'm gonna get sick. I've played the Sonic games my entire life through emulation, and I always find it so hard to play for more than 10 minutes. Is it my attention span? Maybe. However, I finally managed to find a Genesis with a copy of Sonic 2. I hooked it up to my Facebook Marketplace CRT I got for free, and boom, there it was. Sonic 2. But like Sonic 2, not just a playable version of Sonic 2, the actual real version of Sonic 2. The water looks awesome, the art looks at home, and zero input delay truly does make a game changer. I totally understand having the game in its purest form playing on a fuzzy CRT with no saves and the original controller.
I get it.
I understand the purity aspect, but someone playing God of War on the PS2 and someone playing on PCSX2 are essentially playing the same exact game. And sometimes it just isn't feasible to play these games on these old consoles, and emulation is honestly what saves them from being lost to time. These things don't last forever. Physical discs wear out, cartridges wear out every time you slot it in and take it out of the console. At some point, my 3DS is going to die, and there will be no legal way to play Coaster Creator 3D except through emulation. And game companies understand our want for these older titles on modern hardware. They just don't understand how to make video games. Collections, re-releases, remasters, they've become so hit and miss lately I just close my eyes and hope for the best. Nintendo came out with Super Mario 3D All-Stars, a collection for the Nintendo Switch back in 2020. And here's the basic rundown. It's been a while so you may have forgotten it. Super Mario 64, still 4x3, 30 FPS. Mario Sunshine, widescreen 1080p, still 30 FPS. Super Mario Galaxy, just a resolution boost, nothing else about it. And I'm happy with the fact I can play Super Mario Galaxy on the go, albeit with very little enhancements. They did decide to release the game for only like 5 months, so you could get it in that time frame. But at least you're not Sonic Colors Ultimate, be released indefinitely and just not work. A majority of the preservation and restoration of these older games doesn't come from companies, rather from devoted and passionate fans that want these games to be at their absolute best for the foreseeable future. And here's my advice to Nintendo. Since they want to sue anybody who tries to emulate their games or restore their games or have it in any way where you can play it on anything except a dinosaur. Here's a question. Have you ever played the original Earthbound? Not on the SNES, I mean Earthbound Beginnings, or better known as Mother, for the NES. Did you say yes? Okay. Did you play that on a genuine Famicom? Because chances are you're either stupid rich, clueless with your money, or you emulated it. Not only emulated it, but you had a fan patch for it. Even Nintendo has released translations of their own games, like Mother, for the Nintendo Switch Online service, and even the original Fire Emblem was brought to the Switch back in Oh, what the f***, Nintendo? One that I personally have played is a Berserk game for the PlayStation 2. It was released in Japan, only in Japan, on October 7th, 2004. But some fans worked on translating the game in its entirety as a patch. A patch? On the PlayStation 2? Even though we didn't even get horse armor until the PS3? Yes, there's a patch for it, but there's a bit of a process to play it on legit hardware. You have to have a copy of the original game and a copy of a James Bond game for some simply reason. Run it on an emulator. You can download the ROM and just play the game. I may be a masochist and enjoy spending hundreds of dollars on these old consoles and devoting days of my life to setting these consoles up to be played as purely as possible, but some people actually enjoy their lives, and I completely understand that. Sometimes it genuinely is nicer to have my entire library backed up on my Steam Deck and ready to go. You know what the worst part of it is? The setup process? No, that's not too bad. Shame. I don't think that's an emulation
Capitalism.
issue. I mean, yeah, a little. Existential dread? What? No, what the hell? What about backing the game up? Nintendo has this really great idea that when you buy a game, you only bought the Nintendo approved way of playing that game. Having it backed up, that's another game. Having your legal copy of your game that you bought, well, you can only use it on the hardware you got it on. Maybe, perhaps, there's a way to get the game on your PC? Just to play Wind Waker on Dolphin. Maybe I'll just dip my toes in. Backing up a physical cartridge takes special hardware and legit dedication. I don't blame you for wanting to just download it. I bet it'd look really nice on a court document next to a picture of Mario. The argument being that, oh, you're downloading a different copy of the same game. You don't own the copy you're downloading.
If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Okay, time's up.
Nobody cares. Genuinely, no one cares. I think I made my point. What's my point, you're asking after watching this for however long? Just play the fucking game. It doesn't matter how you play it. You are playing it. And don't let people say how having your pixels move a certain way demolishes having your pixels move a different way. If you want to play your copy of Barnyard for the Wii on your PC, then do it. It helps keep that game, I wouldn't say relevant, but it keeps it preserved and accessible. And if you have fun, that's the entire point. Playing games is about escaping and having fun, and it gets ruined by gatekeepers saying you didn't enjoy your game right because they played it differently. Just have fun. Alright, I spoke enough about games, I spoke enough about emulation, and I learned I'm a terrible driver. So, I guess I'm just gonna try out being a financial advisor. Well, at least I have my game still.